Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast on the internet. Folks, we've got MLB managers getting fired. We got division races heating up, MVP races heating up right now. We are in that final stretch of baseball where things are starting to get real interesting, and we've got a lot to talk about today. I'm your host, Nicholas Blaylock, joined by the greatest co-host, Adam Peddle. You're welcome. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I mean, we're at that point where all the exciting stuff of the trade deadlines kind of passed. So now we're just here playing ball. We're just watching teams down the stretch. And it's a little bit too far away to be like, oh, this is going to be a tight race. But it's still interesting to note that some teams could take an early lead, maybe, in these division races. And they have an opportunity to make their claim at the postseason, while other teams, they are far, far away from even being close to being considered a contender. Not this year, not next year, maybe not in the next decade of time.
I love that you brought up the trade deadline. We weren't even planning on talking about this at all, but right after it happened, the entire conversation was, holy shit, the Toronto Blue Jays fleeced the Houston Astros. Yusei Kikuchi is a terrible, terrible player, and they gave up too much. I will just say this right now. We're only 2 starts in, so it's one of those overreaction Monday type things. But Yusei Kikuchi doing pretty good for the Houston Astros. So
nice.
What do we know, right?
Nice.
What do we know?
Did he get his first win or something the other night?
He did. He got his first W.
Job,
so yeah, exactly. He's in the win column right now. He's doing okay, man. So you know what? Maybe not as bad of a deal as we initially thought.
No, well, we got Joey Loperfido with an OPS under 500.
There you go. There you go, everybody. Now that the dust of the trade deadline has settled, you can really understand who you are as a team. And it took the White Sox a long time. They were trying to figure it out. Were we buyers? Were we sellers? Were we gonna go all the way this year? And I guess they realized that after that 21 games? 21 game losing skid, one of the worst that we've seen in a long, long period of time. The White Sox have decided that it is time to move on from their manager, Pedro Griffel. Thoughts on the White Sox finally getting rid of Pedro?
You know, it's funny. I didn't even know their manager was named Pedro Griffel. I had no clue. I think he came in 2023, right?
It was 2022.
2022, yeah.
November 2nd. So, yeah, would have started in 2023.
Started 2023. Effectively, he came in after Tony, right? And then he came in. He was just I'm assuming he was the interim manager, and then he started off in 2022 or 2023, and then they went 61-101, and then this year they went 28-89. They just fell off. And it's funny, when he got fired, he still said, I think I'm a good manager. I really do, when he was asked about whether he thinks he's a good manager. And I think he also says, and I think managing is motivating people to play and work hard every single day. I think managing is preparing to make good decisions and serving people, including people. So I guess, if he defines his his role as a manager, if he's a good manager, as being like, hey, I can motivate people and I can motivate people to work hard. I guess, sure, maybe, but you didn't motivate him enough to win ball games, and also maybe that's not his fault because he was dealt this bad hand of a crappy team.
Well, that's the thing. We got to play devil's advocate a little bit here and just say, I mean, would anybody do better, right? With that Chicago White Sox roster and the payroll and everything like that, and just the cancer that is over there, would anyone do better? I think you could throw Dave Roberts in there and he'd still struggle. Maybe he wins a couple more games, but it's just a horrible, horrible franchise. All of that being said, though, I mean, you go from Tony La Russa, who was falling asleep in the dugout, and just he was out to lunch.
Oh my God.
And I guess from a White Sox fan, you get rid of him and you're thinking, okay, thank God, the bad man is gone. Anyone could be better than that. And clearly that was not the case.
Yeah, I mean, technically he wasn't any better because the team suffered. But again, I want to roll it back to the team is just ass. I mean, I was playing a little fun game with you right before this podcast. I was like, let me see how many guys I actually know that are active on the White Sox roster.
Right.
I knew 9. And I think 7 of 9 are bench players at best on winning ball teams. The other 2 that wouldn't be would be Robert Jr. and Crochet.
Yeah, sure.
And so it's okay, this clearly it's not your fault, guy, but we had to do something, and you are inevitably going to get fired. We need somebody to think about this rebuilding next phase of our future, which also is funny because speaking of trade deadline, what do they do at the deadline? Like nothing. They got back Vargas is their top piece, and like Vargas isn't that good. It's like that's all you did.
That could be part of it as well, right?
know?
Some of the decision making going on there.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of it, if it's his fault or the team's fault or
Maybe.
whatever, he will still go down as one of the worst managers of all time. This is a great statistic right here, everybody. I was wondering where he would rank. I did the math to find out what his winning percentage is. It's fucking atrocious. It's a 318. So a 31.8 winning percentage right there. And David, shout out to David Salatoro right here on Twitter. David Salatoro, he tweeted this out. I was wondering about this. He said 391 managers have managed at least 279 games, which is the exact amount that Pedro managed, was 279 games. And he said that Pedro Griffel's 319 winning percentage is the third worst among them. Only John McCloskey, who was around in literally the 1800s and then early 1900s. Okay, so John McCloskey, and then Doc Prothro, Philadelphia in 1939 to 1941. So literally in World War II, was worse than Pedro. So he will go down as potentially the worst modern-day manager ever.
Let's go. But he thinks he's good, though. Do you think he'll get hired? I don't think so, bro. How could you actually, if you're a team that's any better than White Sox, just everybody else thinks, you know what? Let's get this guy. This is the guy. It just sucks to suck, dude. You're kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That's, you know what? That to me is what it comes down to, right? Because you're in one of those spots where, like, it really is extremely polarizing. I mean, obviously, he had the worst possible case scenario happen, and he just, sucked, and the team's terrible. Yeah. So now you will go down as one of the worst of all time. But if you somehow did turn around that organization, turn around that franchise, now you're one of the best of all time, right? So you were in one of those spots where if you made it work, you would have been heralded as a hero. You are, in fact, leaving a villain, though. Yeah,
I agree. And another thing about the White Sox, 21-game losing streak finally end.
It did.
Against the A's,
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to beat anybody, it's going to be the Oakland Athletics. You should be fucking embarrassed if you're the Oakland I mean, they're already embarrassed, right? They're
all bad.
It's a clown show over there. Also, can you imagine? Let me just say this right now. I'm sure that there's there's people watching this wondering what the fuck. So the two lowest attendance teams right now are the Oakland Athletics and the Chicago White Sox.
Right.
Those are the two that like no one's going to those games.
I would understand why.
So, right?
I would understand.
Can you fucking imagine buying a ticket to watch the Oakland Athletics play the Chicago? Like that is I
saw something on Twitter, or like a fan, like an A's fan, was chirping the White Sox. I was like, what kind of poverty is this? You have A's fans chirping White Sox players?
Dude, that's like
bad.
That's literally like two homeless men fighting in the streets
over
scraps.
Yeah. Like scraps are better than your scraps.
It is just, it's actually sad. It's embarrassing. Like if you're walking past that and you see it, you're like, oh my god, I gotta look away. This is so disgusting. I think Pat McAfee has a thing where, like whenever it's like two bad teams playing, it's like he says something along the lines of like, it's a big ol' who gives a fuck game,
Literally.
And like that whole series.
Well, yeah. I could have forgot. You could have never told me that happened.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like White Sox this year. Put this in perspective. The A's have 48 wins. They have 28 more wins than the White Sox at 28. Like that's actually a large number.
Yeah.
That's the difference between like a playoff. If you go up the rankings, like 90 to 70 team, it's like wow, like we dominated you this season. That's how far down they are.
What is that math? So 48 wins for the A's and then 28 for the White Sox. What is that? That's 76 wins total. Okay, so I was wondering
if there would be
another team that like is better. It's not right now. It's not. It's close though. It's actually close.
Because the Phillies have I think they're tied for the most.
It's either the Phillies or the Guardians right now.
Yeah, Phillies, Orioles, New York Yankees, all have 68 wins right now.
Okay, 68 wins is enough. Okay, so they're not quite at that point right now. But either way, like two abysmal teams that are like fighting over scraps in the street. Garbage. It's like a car crash. You want to look away, but you just can't. Let's move on and talk about a much better squad. You just brought them up. The Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, we were a week, 2 weeks ago, something like that, glazing them up. Talking about how great they are, how deep their roster is, and I don't know, maybe it's the bad for baseball curse or whatever it is, because the second that we started talking about them so positively, they just go through this, horrible stretch, dropping games. Now, it's not horrible for them in the sense that the Atlanta Braves are also not playing great baseball either, so they still have a 7.5 game buffer. But,
right.
They're not even really worried about this. They're thinking more about playoffs. They're thinking about winning the World Series this year. Are you at all worried about the Philadelphia Phillies in this rough stretch?
I don't think so. I mean, their rough stretch in July is 10-14. They have won their last 2. They're 3-3 in August. So their rough stretch is like, yeah, we had a bad month. Teams will have a bad month. And then when I look at the entire, MLB in the last 30 days, like, they're really not that far down. Like the Philadelphia Phillies, your bad stretch, your bullpen is being classic Phillies bullpen from the past, right? Your whole pitching staff is a 5.04 ERA. Wheeler and Nola are doing great.
Yeah.
Your starting pitchers are doing great. It's your bullpen letting you down. You tried to address it this trade deadline. Hopefully that works out for you. Hopefully things kind of turn around. People try to figure out their new roles, and you'll be fine. And then their offense is just kind of like a mid-offense in this month. You're right. You had Bryce Harper that wasn't doing too well in the last month. His OPS was under 700.
Yeah.
You had other guys kind of underperforming as well. But then you had the likes of Kyle Schwarber popping the hell off, being one of the best baseball players in baseball. And so it's like, okay, it's one of those rough stretches. They're still number 1 in baseball. Like, you're going to have them. So, yeah, to answer your question, no, they're the Phillies, man. They're going to be good. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not overtly concerned. I love that you brought up Kyle Schwarber right there, because he is just like, just the most baffling player, I think, that is just in baseball these days. I saw this crazy statistic. This is a wild statistic. Quick shout out here to Danny Vietti on Twitter. Danny Vietti. Insane stat right here. Among qualified hitters since 2022, Luis Arias has the highest batting average in MLB at 327. Phenomenal batting average. Luis Arias, phenomenal player.
Awesome.
Kyle Schwarber has the 8th lowest batting average in MLB.
Garbage.
217. That is 110 points lower than Luis Arias. Not garbage, though, because Kyle Schwarber has reached base more times than Luis Arias. That's insane. 638 times reaching base to Luis Arias. 626. 110 batting average points lower than Luis Arias since 2022.
That's the thing. You got to look at it. That's why batting average is such an old stat. I always see sometimes in our comments someone who I guess hasn't been around MLB in a while is arguing they're using batting average as an argument to why a player is good and why a player is bad. You can't anymore, because Kyle Schwarber has one of the best on-base percentages in all of baseball, because that's what he does. He either walks, smashes a homer, or strikes out. That's all he does. I'm trying to find the last 30 days. His on-base percentage has got to be one of the most phenomenal things ever. He's 6th right now in baseball with a 449 on-base percentage in the last 30 days. That is 148 points higher than his batting average.
Right.
That's why he gets on base more, right?
You don't want to pitch to him.
Whereas Luis Arias, he is a very thin margin of on-base to batting average. Same with people like Bo Bichette. Hit leaders will always have lower on-base percentages, because they're out there, they're swinging at pitches outside of the zone to put them in play and get hits.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a wild stat when you think about how different those two players are, and it's like we got there differently, but the result was the same. We're both getting on base a shitload. I'm just doing it differently than you, and you're doing it differently than me. And we can argue till the cows come home about which one would be a better player. But Kyle Schwarber, one of the wildest guys in baseball. He's right now actually potentially could make history this year. The MLB single season record for leadoff home runs in a season in Phillies history, was in 2003. Alfonso Soriano with 13. Kyle Schwarber's at 11 right now. So any more leadoff home runs, and he can make Phillies history. I'm not sure what MLB's record is, but I can't imagine it's ridiculously more than that. So who knows, if he goes on one hell of a tear, he could be up there as well.
I think he's that kind of guy. He's got less than 2 months to get 2 to tie and then 3 to win.
And he's got 27 home runs on the year right now. And
easy.
Kyle Schwarber, if you can bet on anything, he is going to hit some home runs over the fence.
Easy.
That's just something that happens.
Easy. Circling back just to cap off the Phillies. Are you worried about the Phillies at all?
Oh, like no, really not that much. I mean, I think that teams go through stretches, right? Like it just happens. You're not gonna be winning 70% of your games all season long. It's just like really, really hard to do. Like it is. It's a difficult thing. Now, Bryce Harper, am I worried about him? No. I'm just not. The one area of concern that I could be like, is the bullpen, because we've seen this movie before. We've really seen this movie before with the Philadelphia Phillies, right? It's like year in, year out. Good, strong starters, great offense, and then, the bullpen lets us down in the 7th or the 8th, and, we lose a big critical game. So that is something that I think they're going to need to work out leading up to the playoffs. But this is why you won so many games in the early part of the season, and why you have a buffer of 7.5 games over the Atlanta Braves, right? It's like you have the leash right now. You have the freedom to work out these kinks, to figure it out, and to not risk losing the division. Like I think all of us were thinking, holy shit, like the Braves and the Phillies were going to be neck and neck the whole way. Like it would take a cataclysmic disaster for you at this point to lose the division if you're the Phillies. So don't stress, don't panic. You got time to figure it out. Get yourselves right for October, and I mean, I still think that they're going to go on one hell of a run.
Yeah, I mean, in the NL East, I'm really looking at the Braves and the Mets as like they're fighting it out for second place right now, because right now Mets are outside of a wild card spot, like half a game, and then you got the Braves right in there. So I feel like if anything, Phillies, you're chilling, dude. Don't even worry. It's the Braves and the Mets that are gonna be a fun ride to the end.
Yeah, I'm honestly pretty happy that the Mets are alive again.
Me too. I thought I'd never say that.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
No, 2 years ago they were just buying up everybody, and it was pissing me off.
It was pissing me the hell off.
But I realized, that's kind of exciting. To see Steve Cohen just lose it and just drop, bags of money to people, and that's probably gonna happen in the offseason too. Now that they are once again like competitive, I imagine Pete Alonso will get one hell of a payday, and I'm sure that they're gonna go after Juan Soto and go after everybody like that. But they are alive again. The Braves, kind of disappointing for them. I mean, I think that if this season doesn't work out the way that they would hope to, it's very simple. You can really just chalk it up to, Spencer Strider died and Ronald Acuna Jr. died. Those are our two best players.
And I don't have the stats here, but all of their offense is well underperforming. I think
other than Ozuna.
I think there was I think they went on like a 24-inning scoreless streak recently. I saw a stat. Then they broke it. It was broken up right there by the guy who traded for Jorge Soler. It was pretty bad. I don't know what's going on. It honestly looked a lot like the Toronto Blue Jays, but like not as bad because they're still in a competitive spot and we're not. Yeah. But where it's like they compared all their previous year numbers and they all dropped off. It was like 2022 to 2023 Blue Jays. Like what the hell happened?
Well, I've always thought that Matt Olson and his career is just one of the wildest that I've seen. Like the way that this guy goes up and then goes down, and then goes up, and then goes down. And this happens to be a down year. If you guys don't believe me, listen to this. Okay, so I can go through his whole career. So the first year of his career, I mean, you can't give too much weight to this because he only played in 11 games, but a 464 OPS. Okay, fine. Next year, he plays in 59 games. He's got an OPS over 1, so, bad to good. Small sample size, though. Following year in Oakland, 78 OPS, so drops down a bit. But then the next year bumps back up to 896. So right now we're going up, we're going down, we're going up, we're going down. Following that, a 734 OPS. You're going, what the hell happened to Matt Olson? What's wrong with him? He just fucking broke out. He was MVP or in MVP conversations. No worries, because the next year he's back to 911. Then once again drops down 100 points to 802. Then bounces back up to 993. Now he's MVP 4. He's a Silver Slugger. He's an All-Star. And this year he's batting 229 with an OPS of 725. Explain to me Matt Olson.
I can't. Matt Olson, you got to explain yourself, dude. Like, are you making changes every year? Or, like, maybe it just takes them one full calendar year to be like, oh, that's what they were doing. Yeah. Okay.
It's like every offseason, like, they'll change and they'll be like, oh, fuck, Matt Olson really got the best of us last year. Let's do this now. And then Matt Olson's like, what?
Yeah, and then like he goes to the whole next year where they're like, no.
Yeah.
You know, like, he can't, like, we got him last year with this. Like, and then they just stick to it, and then they don't make an adjustment until I don't know. It's one of those funny things.
It really is a weird one, right? Because I think we can all agree, like, Matt Olson is a good player, like a very good player.
Yeah.
But you just wonder, like, it's such a, I guess it's not linear, but it also is predictable at this point where it's like, I'll tell you guys right now, if he's going to finish the year with a 229 batting average and a 725 OPS, bet on him for MVP next year. Because that is just the trajectory
or
home run or something like that. You know, RBIs, home runs. He'll be right back up there next
great odds.
year. It's going to happen. It will happen.
Yeah, it will, man. Let's move on to another conversation. Speaking of the NL, I feel like it's going to be a very NL-heavy show, which I love. I like looking over there as being a fan of the AL. NL West, you've got the LA Dodgers still firmly on top. However, going into a little bit of a skid. Also, big shout out to Freddie Freeman. An awesome job that he was there with his family, and Max is having a good recovery. That's really great. Big shout out there. That was great. Did you see the standing ovation he got?
I didn't see the standing ovation.
Oh, it was awesome. It was beautiful. He was like tearing up in his first at Freddie Freeman. Really good stuff.
That's obviously got to be a very, very hard spot to be in right there. So shout out to him. Shout out to his family. Also, complete sidebar right now, but because he got brought back up, Kevin Biggio got the snip. That's tough, man. That's tough. You know, is the MLB done with Kevin Biggio, do you think?
Someone will grab him. Like, if the Dodgers were willing to grab him, some other team will probably be willing to grab him, give him another shot. Like, I think you're going to give him so many shots because his name's Kevin Biggio.
I'll be honest, man. I think that he's got one shot left.
One more shot? Just one?
Shot. Yeah.
I think he goes to somewhere like the Pirates or even Washington. Like, some team that's like, let's fill out our bench. Like, there's someone will do it.
I think he's got one more shot because, again, like, we're talking about somebody who – let me just pull up the numbers right now. We didn't even plan to talk about this. But a 197 batting average with a 79 OPS plus. I mean, I don't need to go through Biggio's numbers. You know Biggio's numbers, and they've been like that now for the past 5 years. It's been like this.
The only reason why I think a few more teams will give him a shot is because if I'm the outside looking in, like, I'm not attached to the Blue Jays, like, oh, like, maybe we could unlock something. He's Kevin Biggio, you know, like, because when he first came up, everyone's like, hell yeah, wow, that's so sick, Kevin Biggio.
Right.
So everyone's going to, like, he's going to get tossed around the league. Everyone's going to be like, oh, what the fuck is this garbage? Cut. Okay, let me try. Oh, no. It's like when everyone's trying to open up a jar and they can't get it done. It's like, okay, you know, you're trying so hard, like, I can't do it. Someone else is like, oh, no, I can figure it out. It's one of those things. Kevin Biggio's a jar of pickles.
Maybe, man. Maybe, yeah. You guys let us know, what do you think about Kevin Biggio? I think he's got one more chance. I think somebody might pick him up for the remainder of the season, and then he might start on a roster next year.
Yeah.
But if he's not good, then I think
maybe get some minor league
that's
contract.
it.
Oh, wait, no, he still's got a few more years left unless he gets cut and no one picks him up. But we'll see.
Well, he'll be that's the thing. He'll be a free agent in 2026, and at this rate, he's not getting paid.
No.
Ain't nobody buying that.
That's when he gets the minor league contract one more time.
Yeah,
and then he's done.
And then it's game over for Kevin Biggio. But yeah, so that's what's going on with Freddie Freeman and Kevin Biggio. However, you started off this whole segment by saying the LA Dodgers are still firmly on top. I would argue it's not as firm as it once was. Right now, 3 games back, you got the Diamondbacks, you got the Padres. Both of those teams are surging right now. 8-2 in their last 10. Meanwhile, the LA Dodgers, they're 4-6. They're dropping games. Arizona, San Diego, they're picking them up. And I look over at some of the team statistics right now, and both of them. In the last 30 days, you got the Arizona Diamondbacks, who, offensively speaking, are going fucking balls to the wall here. They are ranked 2nd in baseball in offense. But then looking over at the pitching staff, you got the San Diego Padres, who are ranked 3rd in baseball in the last 30 days. So both of those two squads right now are doing one thing really, really well, and they are surging up the standings. Who do you like right now in this NL West?
Right before I tell you that, like, I mean, to complement that, on the other side of things, LA Dodgers 18th in offense, and then their pitching has not been very good. 27th in the last 30 days as well.
That's weird, man.
Dude, they that's why they had to go out and get a Jack Flaherty, because they were just so brutal.
How much fucking money do they? I'm gonna look this up right now. But how much money do they put into their goddamn pitching staff? It's got to be stupid. And if you are like down there, that is a gross failure.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of injuries and you can't can't
There's
deal
so
with
many
that.
injuries.
But like for the amount of money that you spend, it's just got to be better than
It's
that.
one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, you're paying for a championship team, and then like eventually your luck wears out. It has been working, and eventually you're gonna run into injuries, you're gonna run into underperformances, and then your team's gonna falter. But granted, they are still first right now. You asked me, who do I like in that NL West? Honestly, looking over, because you said the Padres were really high on the pitching side of things. They're also really high on the offensive side of things too. They're fifth in baseball in OPS in the last 30 days. They're starting to cook. Xander Bogaerts is starting to cook. On the offensive side of things, Blake Snell. He's on the Giants. Excuse me. Who threw fucking no? It wasn't Blake Snell. It was over on the Padres.
It was Blake Snell.
Blake Snell on the Padres? Did he get traded? No. Blake Snell was on the Giants. Who was on the Padres that threw a no? Did anyone throw a no on the
I'm not
Padres?
sure, man. I don't know.
Maybe I'm tripping right now. I thought somebody did. Someone let me know in the comments. I thought somebody did. They've been cooking a little bit, regardless. And I'm on the Padres a little bit right now. Like Arizona Diamondbacks, I still see them as that like Cinderella story. I think they can still catch lightning in a bottle. But I feel like the Padres have been hiding a little bit in the shadows. They've been waiting to come back. And do I think that they're going to take over the division lead? It's hard to say. I feel like the Dodgers can't. I feel like it's just one of those things where I feel like the Dodgers just cannot lose the division based on their roster.
Well, I'll tell you something that might make you feel a little bit better about that pick, actually, the Padres. I was looking at the strength of schedule remaining. This was last updated yesterday, so it's pretty accurate right now. The Arizona Diamondbacks have the 5th hardest schedule remaining in the rest of MLB, so it's going to be a tough road for them. I mean, if they keep playing the way that they're doing, doesn't matter, but it will be tough. The Dodgers are right around that 15 mark, 16th, I think, actually. Yeah, so like right in the middle right there. So they'll have kind of an average schedule moving forward. And the San Diego Padres have the 3rd easiest schedule in baseball remaining. So, they could really find their rhythm here. They could get cooking, get things moving for them. I like them a lot. I do think that, they are starting to become that squad that they thought they paid for a while ago, and now we're really seeing it. It is still going to be really tough to catch the LA Dodgers because it's just the Dodgers. But if anybody's got a chance to do it, I do think it's the Padres.
So it was Dylan Cease who threw the no-hitter.
Right.
That was Dylan Cease. So
that
was a while ago that he threw it. But yeah, I mean, if anyone's going to do it, I do think it would be the Padres. Do they do it? What's their strength and schedule?
Really easy. It's the 3rd easiest. 3rd easiest. Yeah.
That could be money.
That's the thing. Yeah,
what
exactly.
About the Dodgers?
Dodgers are right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Arizona Diamondbacks have one of the toughest ones.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm a Diamondback hater. Maybe it's because I think everyone glazes them because they got to the World Series last year, but they still only won 84 games.
Yeah.
It's like
that's the thing.
That misses playoffs more times than
not.
It
does miss playoffs. Now, one thing about the Dodgers to note, this is actually freaking insane. So their total payroll, over the course of the whole year is $238 million. A lot. On their injured list right now, they have $86.6 million. That's how much money they're paying for their injured list. So these are guys that are not even contributing right now to their team. They're paying $130 for their active roster, almost $90 for their injured list. That is insanity that they're almost paying the same amount for their injured list as their active roster right now.
Hilarious.
$90 million. Dude. Mookie Betts, Chris Taylor, Max Muncy, Yamamoto, Walker Buehler. The list goes on and on and on.
It's the same thing that happened with the Mets when they had that monster offseason. Not the same thing because the Mets actually fumbled right after they made all those moves. But it's like, everyone looks around like you went out and had a big offseason. Now it's like, sucks to suck. Like you spent all this money. Now the guys are getting hurt. And it's like, It's like as a non-Dodger fan, you go like, you secretly love it. Not you want to wish injuries, but you secretly love the downfall and the failure of buying a winning team.
Oh, of course, man.
You know?
I mean, I'm always rooting the underdogs on. I think we all secretly are. If you're an LA fan, obviously this is the worst case scenario. But, the fact that you are paying $90 million for your injured list and you are still number one in the division just goes to show, like, how much depth and how wealthy you guys actually are. Because, if any other squad in MLB had $90 million go to their injured list, that's it. That's game over. That's your whole fucking roster is dead in the water right now. The only team that can get away with that is the Dodgers. That's the only squad. Maybe the New York Yankees, but probably not even them.
Wow, yeah, dude, it's wild. Like I'm looking at their pitching staff too. It's like Gavin Stone sucks. He has the most innings pitched in the last 30 days. Tyler Glasnow's at a 4 ERA. That's bad for him. They've had a couple like pop-off guys like River Ryan's got a 1.72 in the pitching staff. Who's Brent Honeywell that has a 2.20 ERA? Like they're just band-aiding this right now, and everybody else is just kind of struggling pretty bad. So we'll see what happens. Who do you got for the division?
I want to say the Padres are going to somehow pull this off, but I mean it is really tough to bet against the LA Dodgers because once they do start getting some of those guys back, I don't know how you can bet against them. I mean, they probably have the MVP at this point in the National League. So I'm still going to go Dodgers, but I hope that the Padres make it close.
I do. Let's make a good race, guys, down the stretch. Last kind of conversation about the NL, and then we can talk. Actually, there'll be some more conversations a little bit later. But right now, NL MVP odds. We talked about the AL MVP odds last week, and it's getting ever so closer. I mean, we talked about Judge, Witt. Those guys are up there. They're dueling it out. However, on the NL side of things, I feel like for the longest time, everyone's just been locking in Shohei Ohtani, and I still think it's definitely Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he's right there. But you know what really shook me this morning was how far away everybody is from Ohtani, and also. This also shook me. This is on Fox Sports, everybody. Why is Francisco Lindor the third favorite to win the NL MVP over Harper, Ellie De La Cruz, Marcell Ozuna, Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman? Why is that the case? Why?
The easy answer is the defense is phenomenal with him, right? I mean, like we can all agree, like defensively speaking, he is up there as one of the best, 99th percentile. So that's pretty damn good. But I think that there's also an element here of maybe Francisco Lindor is a little overrated because offensively speaking, I would take Harper, Ellie De La Cruz, Marcell Ozuna, Trey Turner. I take all of them. I take all of them
easy
over Francisco Lindor. So I guess there's kind of two conversations to be had here. One is Francisco Lindor overrated, and then two, how do you truly value defense? Because we were talking about the AL thing last week, and my whole argument for Bobby Witt was, well, this guy could be a fucking platinum glover. He's in the 100th percentile and outs above average at shortstop, right? So it's almost like if you're going to have Francisco Lindor up there, then I think the race between Bobby Witt and Aaron Judge needs to be a lot closer.
Right.
So we're not – it's almost like we're playing with two different ideologies here. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, of course. And I mean, there's also the ideology of like, okay, how important are you to your team, right? Because, I mean, when I think about, again, Jays fan, when I think about when Donaldson won in 2015, he wasn't the best player on paper. I think Mike Trout smoked him that year offensively, but they gave it to Donaldson because he basically carried the Toronto Blue Jays on his back and brought him to the postseason, had a historic 2-month stretch. He was already doing great before that, but the team was on a historic 2-month stretch, and it's like, okay, well, you are clearly the MVP. You're the most valuable player to your team,
right?
Which Francisco Lindor is clearly the MVP. He's got a 4.4 WAR on the Mets. Second best is Brandon Nimmo at 2.3. So clearly, if the Mets are winning, it's because Lindor is doing so great. With that being said, is that how we should be judging it, or should it be just you're the best player overall in the entire league?
I think it's you're the best player in your league.
That's
like,
I've
always thought that's where it is. Like I understand, the complexities of your team and whatever, but you don't control that. Right. The only thing that you control as a player is how am I going to perform day in and day out?
Right.
How am I going to show up? Am I going to field this ball appropriately? Am I going to come up in a clutch situation when we got a runner at second? That is the only possible thing that you can control. You can't control the fucking roster construction and, how important you are and blah, 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 and how Brandon Nimmo's doing and how,
Exactly.
this is nothing to do with you.
Simply put, it's not the MVP TYT, the MVP to your team.
Sure.
It's the MVP, the most valuable player, because you're the most valuable player in the league.
Exactly.
And no matter where you go, you are going to be the most valuable. I think that's how it should go.
Yeah, I definitely think that's how it should go. And I mean, if we're thinking about it like that,
why'd Ohtani win the last 2 years? Or the last 3 years because he's on the Angels. You know what I mean? It's like he didn't help the Angels go anywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like he's the most valuable player overall in the league.
Yes, and I mean we can both agree that he deservingly won those MVPs for sure. But thinking about it like that as well. When you look at some of these rankings, I don't think Francisco Lindor should be that high. I mean, again, offensively speaking, he's been good. I'm not going to sell him too short, but he's batting .254.
Yeah.
He's got a .785 OPS. I mean, he has stolen a lot of bags. He's got 24 stolen bases, so he's running quite a bit. But I think you can make some strong arguments right now for why Bryce Harper, who, by the way, is in the 93rd percentile in outs above average. I know he's a first baseman. I know it's not as important, but still, defensively speaking, very, very strong. And offensively speaking, far superior in my opinion.
The fact that he's 93rd as a first baseman is actually pretty good.
It's actually kind of crazy.
Really good.
So, I mean, he gets it done over there. Ellie De La Cruz might steal, infinite bags this year. So, that alone, I think, needs to have you in the top 3. And then, Marcell Ozuna, like you were talking about all the bad players on the Atlanta Braves.
He's the one good.
He's the one guy who is, not slowing down at all. So, I mean, please make some arguments for us in the comments down below. Do you think Francisco Lindor is overrated? Does he deserve to be in that top 3 MVP conversation? And is Shohei Ohtani effectively just a runaway at this point? Because it does feel like it.
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now, dude. 32 stolen bags, 34 homers. He could be in the 40-40 club. That's crazy.
That's kind of good.
Has he ever been in the 40-40?
I don't think he has, no.
Yeah, this is the highest he's ever stolen bases. His career high was in 2021 before they changed the rules where he had 26. Now he's got 32, and I feel like he could easily get 40, man. 40-40 when he's not a pitcher is awesome.
I'm looking at the Baseball Savant right now. 99th percentile, 99th percentile, 99th percentile, 100 percentile, 100 percentile, 100 percentile, 82 percentile, 96 percentile. It's actually insane how good he is at hitting the ball hard and squaring it up and coming up clutch. All of the things that make you a good baseball player, he is fucking phenomenal at. This is a $700 million player, and he is worth every goddamn penny.
And can't you wait till next year when he's pitching and helping out that Dodgers rotation? Maybe that's what they need.
They absolutely need that.
Him.
They absolutely need that, right? I mean, I thought that the second that he stopped pitching, he'd go nuclear on offense, which he is doing. I mean, he's right up there doing it. If he enters the 40-40 club, that's crazy. But it's not like he has a lot of fall. In fact, any fall off when he pitches as well. So if he can come back and stay healthy and actually pitch 140 innings for them or whatever it is, it's true insanity.
That'd be insane, man. Rip. We wish you were on the plane, Ohtani.
Yes, absolutely, guys. For those of you who don't know, Ohtani should have been on a plane to Toronto. He never was.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's got to know that.
Everyone's got to know.
That was the most embarrassing moment in Blue Jay fan history.
Probably. Yeah. And that was kind of the first domino that has then, caused the absolute horrible season that the Toronto Blue Jays are having right now. But if you want more on the Toronto Blue Jays, go check out Blue Jays Today. We'll be shitting all over them for the next 2 months. Before we get to the next segment, we do need to give a quick shout out to one of the sponsors of this video, Greta. Everybody, go check them out. Phenomenal place to go watch some baseball or watch the Olympics, watch anything. Also, play some games, play some baseball. They got a really fun arcade baseball game. Tons of other stuff there. Great food, great drinks. You want to go check them out. Speaking of the Toronto Blue Jays, the one lone bright spot, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We're looking at a list right now by Bleacher Report ranking all of the players at their position. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. currently ranked as the #1 first baseman in MLB. Do you agree with it?
Abso-freaking-lutely, and I have no bias in this at all, guys. I mean, literally, I look at first baseman. I love the OPS category. I just rank it all year. OPS, first baseman. Who's on top? It's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He is batting .317. That's his batting average. OPS of .927. He's on top of Harper, who's got an .899. He's on top of Freeman, who's got an .884, and then Christian Walker. I believe that's the top four right there, who's got an .814. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been on just the most insane run I've ever seen in the last 30 days. And also, come on, MLB. Why was he not ranked the all MLB team in July? It was Christian Walker on that list. Christian Walker was nowhere close to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Just want to give it a little shout out. MLB, come on, man. What are you doing? I look at first baseman in the last 30 days, or excuse me, all positions in the last 30 days. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is second right behind Aaron Judge. This is the comeback season of comeback seasons. He is not only has he been hot, he's getting hotter. It feels like he's just getting hotter ever since he cut his hair.
Yeah.
He's on an unreal run, and let me ask you, do you think that this is going to be a sustained run, and this is the Vladimir Guerrero Jr., not to playing at this level, but we're going to see this overall slash line? Is this the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of 2021, and is he back?
It's really tough to say that for sure, right? Because, I mean, we've had so many different conversations throughout the years on Vladdy and what he needs to do and everything like that. I think that he has it right now, and I think that right now this season is exactly what we needed to see. Can I walk into next year and assure you that it's going to be a 900-plus OPS and he'll be up there in MVP votes and, XYZ? I don't know if I can, just because we've seen the volatility with Guerrero throughout his career so far. We've never seen this level been sustained for 2 years before. So I got to see it. I mean, I'm certainly excited and I'm hopeful, and I think that we're on to something here. But I don't know. I hope that this is at age 25 though the official breakout.
Yeah, like. It's so funny. We brought on he's a Sportsnet broadcaster and a former MLB player catcher, Joe Siddle. He was on our Blue Jays Today show, and he was talking about the simple tip that would change Vladdy. It was so simple. It was tip the barrel, get your timing down for the fastball. There's literal video evidence showing the moment he started tipping the barrel and the moment he wasn't tipping the barrel, and the numbers are godly. It's MVP Guerrero numbers ever since he started doing that. So for me, I can't say I know everything about baseball, but I'm taking it from a guy who does, and he's been preaching that for the last 2 years when he was struggling. Tip the barrel, and then he starts doing it. What do you know happens? As long as he continues to do that and he stays healthy, I think he's got a great shot to not be like this, because this is asking a lot, but to be one of the best players in all of baseball.
Yeah, one of the hitters anyways, because we do need
hitters.
We need to make it very clear, everybody. Defensively speaking, he's going to trash. But that's okay.
First percentile.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, first percentile.
Okay,
and outs above average. Arm's great, though, 71st.
Let me rephrase that. He's not kind of trash. He is trash.
But
that's fine, because if you have an OPS over 900 and you're batting over 300, I really don't give a shit.
He could be a future DH. Future DH.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
I do think so. I mean, there's really big conversations going on right now about how much money Vladimir Guerrero Jr. should get paid, and that is being factored into a lot because, again, I mean, he's not providing you anything defensively speaking, right? So, I mean, you obviously could upgrade there, and at some point, maybe somebody will want to move him over to the DH. So that will obviously impact his worth right there. I wanted to move over and look at the third baseman right here. They got a whole list here on Bleacher Report. Maybe we'll put the link to this in the description if you want to go check out the article yourself. But they have Rafael Devers 1, Jose Ramirez 2, Alec Baum 3. List goes on. Matt Chapman down there at 4. I guess he's getting kind of hot. But you know what? I feel like with Aaron Judge doing what Aaron Judge is doing, and Juan Soto now in the American League, and Bobby Witt really bursting onto the scene, and now Guerrero too, just going absolutely fucking nuclear. We have kind of forgotten as baseball fans just how good Rafael Devers is and just how good of a season he's having right now. I would argue that Rafael Devers' season is one of the most underrated in baseball because nobody's talking about it, and we really should be.
You know what's funny? We talk about it, Nick.
Right.
We talked about. I brought this up I think a month ago. I was comparing him and Jose Ramirez, and remember it was about All-Star voting, and I was like, why is Jose Ramirez smoking Devers right now? Why isn't Devers the number one? He's clearly being better than him this entire year.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I brought up too. I was like, yeah, what the hell? I agree with you. I think he is one of the most underrated guys in baseball. Why is it all of a sudden like he's on a great team? The Boston, like a historic team is what I meant to say. And they're good.
They're
not
good.
Great. They're good this year, but a historic franchise in the Boston Red Sox. Why is it that nobody's talking about Rafael Devers? You always talked about David Ortiz, right? And you talked about Pedroia, Manny Ramirez. And I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer great, but he's putting up great numbers.
Yeah.
Why are we not talking about him? More respect needs to be thrown on Rafael Devers.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and ever since Guerrero started this stretch, like, you know, again, I know he wasn't on the MLB July list or anything like that, but I've seen a lot of highlights. I've seen a lot of, people outside of Blue Jays camp talking about Vladdy and speaking about how he's turning around.
It's clicky.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't understand why Devers isn't there, too. I mean, Rafael Devers is having a better season than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is having right now. He's got a 984 OPS. His slugging is 600 on the year.
Correct.
And he's batting over 300. So, like, I mean, in any other season where you don't have Judge and you don't have Soto and you don't have Bobby Witt, this is your MVP, undoubtedly, and nobody is talking about him. I just think it's criminal. I think it's criminal.
Criminal. Talk about him more, guys. Talk about him more. Not as sexy. I want to bring this up looking at this list. I only know this guy because straight up he's on my fantasy team, and my fantasy team sucks. But it's not because of this guy. Ezequiel Tovar on the Rockies. No wonder why no one's talking about him. But top 10 shortstops, he's not even on the list. And it's like, okay, well, I've never heard of this guy before. Well, let me tell you. In OPS, up to this date, the entire year, shortstop, he's 6 in baseball. You could say Coors effect, but he has a 281 batting average. I mean, how much is that as Coors effect? Coors effect is more slugging and power and stuff like that, and hitting home runs. Well, he's got 21, right? So it's not like an obscene amount. Okay, excuse me, he's got 19. He's not even on this top 10 list. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he's really bad defensively. Nope. 94th percentile in outs above average. Got a decent arm. Can steal bases, too. He's got good sprint speed. He has 19 stolen base. Oh, wow. He doesn't have any stolen base. He has 4 this year. Why aren't you running him more, Colorado? Why aren't you running him more? But still, my point being, why is it that he's being left off? Probably because he's on the Rockies.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually very clear. The Rockies are just a horrible franchise that, just can't put it all together, man. Like, nobody thinks about I genuinely never think about the Colorado Rockies, actually.
Yeah,
like,
no,
if
you're
I
right.
had to rank the baseball teams that I think about the least amount, I think that they're assuredly top 3, if not number 1. There's just nothing of relevance there because they don't even participate in, trading people away.
Right.
Like, it's not even like I was thinking about the White Sox and I was thinking about the Marlins, teams that I also never think about during trade deadline time because, well, they were in all these conversations trading with their guys. Colorado, I never even heard their name once. Not a single time. They might not even be in MLB for all I fucking know. They could become an NFL team and I wouldn't even realize. Like, that is how little I think about the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, so I think whoever made this list just didn't even check.
Oh, sure.
But here's the thing. Like, even if my point is, like, if I'm making this list, I'm going to shortstop rankings, and he's there. Like, he's amongst all the categories. He's great defensively. He's up there in WAR, and he's doing it with the bat. It's like, okay, well, I guess just disrespect. I guess we're going to throw, Mason Wynn on the St. Louis Cardinals, who's literally not even ranked. Now he's here up on this list. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys.
Well, again, that is the Coors effect. You might hit a couple more home runs, but you will assuredly be forgotten about, man. I know we were kind of talking about the Colorado Rockies, how terrible they were in the last episode. Maybe take a page out of the White Sox.
Just
get rid of your guys.
They just won't, though.
They won't.
Until they fire the management, they won't.
That's the thing, like when you look at all these teams, obviously it sucks that you're in, like, well, I don't even know if Colorado is, like, smaller. Like, we've seen other Colorado teams, like, do well before, but, smaller compared to the Dodgers and the Mets and everything like that. But clearly it's not just the fact that you're a smaller team and smaller payroll, but there is an issue at the top.
I agree, man. There is. Anything else on this list that you wanted to kind of go over?
Honestly, no. Like everything, like honestly, shout out to Bleacher Report. Sometimes they can get a little clicky with it, but I think that they did a really solid job here at like evaluating where everybody's at right now. Obviously, Aaron Judge, the best center fielder. Shout out to Jarren Duran, by the way. He's getting the respect that he deserves over there in Boston. You know, he's really breaking out.
Yeah, it's like, granted, he deserves the recognition, but it's like, Devers, come on, man.
Oh, no, I think I think the whole thing with Devers is, like, we've just grown to accept it, but, like, this is above and beyond. Like, this is a new tier for Rafael Devers where, seriously, like, he should be MVP 3, MVP 4 this year, and, like, we're all going to be like, wait, what?
Yeah, I know.
MVP 3? When did that happen?
Yeah, right.
But that's a real thing going on right now.
It's real. One more thing that I wanted to bring up before we end this one off. I just want to give a big shout out again to the Orioles developing yet again another one of their great top prospects. Jackson Holliday's back, everybody. It is the season because he's got a 1.361 OPS in the last what is it? 7 games? Yeah, 7 games. Since being called back, and give a big round of applause to the development down there. I think it was AAA he went to, but they straight up said, hey, man, you're getting beat by high fastballs. You can't hit it. He had the highest whiff rate amongst fastballs in the time that he was up in the MLB. And they said, hey, we're going to lower your big leg kick, and you're going to be quicker to the fastball, and you're going to hit it. And guess what? He has 4 homers, 10 RBIs, and a double.
Well,
that time.
We say it all the time, everybody, but, you know, especially when you're a young player, the number one thing that you need to prove to every single MLB team is I can hit your fastball. I can hit your heater. I can do it. Or if it's high, I can lay off of it and you're going to give me a ball, right? Like one of the two things. And if you're getting beat on it early, it's just, you know, you're going to spiral down this thing where they're just going to keep attacking you with it. Now that he's come up and he is showing them that I can, in fact, hit it. Now you can actually start playing baseball because, you know, now you're going to start getting some of the other stuff coming in and you can start, you know, working your counts and looking for the pitch that you want and X, Y, Z, right? But when you're just getting beat on the fastball, like it's so hard to even get started. We knew it was always going to happen. Jackson Holliday is going to be a very special talent. It's not like every single scout in America got it wrong, and he was only up for a couple weeks in the first little bit, and he obviously did struggle. But he is figuring it out right now, and once he does like officially hit the scene, I don't know if this is I doubt this will continue, but I'm sure he will be very good. Once he really gets cooking, I just don't know how you'll ever stop this Baltimore offense.
Yeah, I could see this being like a great second half stretch like Gunnar did last year, and then like, oh, there you go. There's Gunnar and Jackson Holliday in the top 5 MVP conversations next year.
For years to come.
For years to come, for many, many years.
Oh, and there's Adley down there at 9.
Yeah, 9, because he's one of the best catchers in baseball. He was number 1 on the Bleacher Report, by the way, guys.
Which he should be, probably.
Which he should be. It's like, oh, God. And you can't even hate on them because they did it the right way where, you know, we all hate on the Dodgers because they bought their team. And it's like, well, good for you, Baltimore. Enjoy the winning.
No, I don't hate the Baltimore Orioles at all. No. Even though, again, I'm a Toronto Blue Jays fan, like I have a deep respect for what it is that they built and what it is that they created there in Baltimore. Like it's honestly, it's a jealousy thing. It really is because it's like that is the best way to do it. And you know, like you've been with these guys forever. You know what I mean? It's not like you're jumping in or anything. Like, no, like we've watched Jackson Holliday from the very beginning. We developed him. We made him what he is. And you are doing that right now.
And now they have the money to go sign Corbin Burns.
Well, you got it. That's number one, man.
You know, go sign another starting pitcher. Go sign another.
If it's not Corbin Burns, you're trading for Tariq Skubal in the offseason, or you're doing something to get somebody incredible.
And that's what's crazy. It's all you have to do now.
Yeah,
that's it.
There's a couple holes that you got to fill, and you will assuredly, unless there's some cataclysmic disaster, or unless you hire like Pedro, whatever his goddamn name is, Pedro Griffel.
I already forgot.
Pedro Griffel. I remember. Yeah, it took me a moment, but I did remember. But unless you hire somebody like that, you will be good for a long period of time. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Bad for Baseball. Episode 10, by the way, guys. We just hit double digits, so shout out if you've been riding with us for a couple weeks right now. We're having a lot of fun doing this, everybody. Maybe more content coming soon. Maybe even 2 episodes a week. What? That could be exciting. But if you haven't already done so, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button. Let us know your thoughts about everything that we talked about in the comments down below. And we will see you next Thursday.
Cheers.